Good afternoon, this is another Unmatched video. I have not been playing as much recently for a variety of reasons, but I had the idea for this tier list, which I think it's something I have not seen done before. Probably someone did it, but something similar, but I can't remember right now. At least I haven't seen it. And then I decided to do it just to see if it brings back my enthusiasm for the game and makes me come back to play it more. It will mostly be unscripted, but I think the idea had merit, so that's why I'm doing it. So what I'm doing here is basically ranking all the unmatched characters based on how different them are from the rest of the roster. So how unique their gameplay are and everything. There is a caveat that I think every character is unique in a match. No character plays the exact same as another one. I think this is for the benefit of the game. But even still, there are some characters that are more different in a way. There are some characters that you can jump from them to another similar character, and then you will adapt somewhat smoothly because they have similar patterns and everything. They will not be the exact same, so maybe you don't enjoy the other character as much, or you will not be as adept with the other character as much as you were with the last one, but I think still in general some characters can do this jump and have more similar gameplay patterns, and others are very unique and like nothing plays like them, nothing feels like them, and so those are the more unique characters that are the ones here in the top. Ignore the tier names, they're just didn't think much about them, just did anything. But the red one is those characters that play like no one else, and it's a unique experience, even more unique than most inside of Unmatched. And the yellow one is the characters that, they are distinctive, of course, they have their peculiarities and their nuances, but you can find similar patterns with other characters, and therefore they are not as unique as the ones on the top. And those the other two tiers is just the orange one is a little less unique than the red one, but a little more unique than the slightly less orange one, and which is more unique than the yellow one. Okay, so simple stuff. Let's start without further ado, and starting with King Arthur, I will do the order as it is here. And Arthur, I think it's unique. Out of the bat, I think he's on the top category, which may not seem so at first glance, because he can hit hard and he can move. Other characters do with effects, and other characters do that. But I think what makes Arthur so different is that he has to commit to every time he uses his ability. He has to commit, he has to take a big risk, because of course his ability can be cancelled, and therefore Arthur has this really risky playstyle. Like he has to put his faith in a way on his plays, and of course he can use it to try to outmaneuver the opponent and everything, but this commitment that he has to take, like wasting 2 cards, which is not very good for his value game, especially with as a character that has so little movement and boost values and small boost values. So I think that makes Arthur very unique. I think other characters take risks, of course, and have to commit sometimes to some stuff, but I think none in the way Arthur does, and he does it so consistently. Every time you swing, you have to make a decision of boosting or not, and before you see the opponent's cards, and with the possibility of having your ability cancelled. So King Arthur is I think King Arthur is very unique. Not the strongest character in the game, but I think he has his fans for a reason. Next one is Dracula. Dracula is a complicated one because he feels very different from many characters, especially because he has so little defenses. And so he has to take some hits, and he can manage to take some hits and still fight. And of course there is the beast form, the beast form threat, and the ability. So Dracula has a lot of stuff, but I don't know if he's that different from other characters because everything he has, some other characters have. Like, yeah, he can take hits and has, even though he has a low starting health, but other characters can do that. And yes, he has a lot of passes, but other characters have a lot of passes. And yes, he has the beast form, but other characters have similar cards. Obviously, it's different. As I said, every character plays different, so the combination of those things can make him feel different from any character that has just one or two of those aspects. But I don't know if it's enough to say that he's too different. I think I'll put him here for now. Maybe I'll bump him down later on. But yeah, I think Dracula is different. He's not that unique. One that is very unique though is Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I think this one doesn't merit as much of an explanation because he's the only character that does what he does. Like, there are other characters that change forms, but he's the only character that has cards that are specific to one form or another. He's the only solo fighter with more than one name on his cards, if that makes sense. And yeah, Jekyll plays very different than everyone else. He has, of course, things that are similar, but the whole gimmick with him makes him very different. We are yet to see another character that has a similar thing going on as Dr. Jekyll. Maybe we will never see it because Jekyll is quite weak. I think the main reason he's quite weak is this uniqueness of him, but it's also what makes him fun in a way. So it's fine. I think Dracula's very unique. Now, Invisible Man, like Dracula, it's a hard one to put because he really does not play like most characters, and yet, like, we have other characters that put tokens on the board. We have other characters that can move more than they should. We have other defensive characters and other characters with a lot of skin damage. But I think still Invisible Man is a different kind of all of those. I think that's the insane amount of skin damage he has and the very turtling playstyle he can have, or the hit and run playstyle he can have sometimes as well. And the whole thing with the fogs being moved by you and your opponent, I think leads to a very different experience. I'm tempted to put him in Distinct, but I think I'll leave him here a little above Drac. I think he's more clearly different than Drac, but yeah. Now Sherlock. Sherlock was unique, I think, at some point. His gameplay really, with the guessing and stuff, sounds very different from everything else, but at the end of the day, it's usually not that different. He has ways of confirming his guesses without having to guess that much, and yeah, he's very scheme heavy, but he's not the only scheme heavy character in the game, and his bowman, as we just said, is another one. And yes, his playstyle of double maneuvering and then playing schemes and winning might have been different at one point, but I think not anymore. I think today we have other characters, or at least one other character I can think of that does that. So I think Sherlock's pretty common in the end. Strongest character in the game, but I think his gameplay is not that different. I think you can have similar experiences to Sherlock with other characters. You may just not win as hard, but I think his nuances doesn't separate him that much from the others. Buffy set I will not rank because I never played them except for Buffy. So I think Buffy I can talk about a bit more safely. Buffy's very common in general. She doesn't have any very special gimmicks. Yeah, she moves through opponents, but most of her cards are very basic. Although she has the sidekick choice, which I think the sidekick choice might put her in different. Like no other characters does that. Gerald does something similar. We'll talk about it, but I think this. I don't know, because she's so basic otherwise. It's a very basic character outside of the sidekick choice, so maybe I'll put her in common, just above Sherlock. This may be a mistake, because as I said, the sidekick choice really is something very different in the game that we have not seen done again yet, but I think with Gerald having something somewhat similar, it becomes less of a big deal, and I think it's hard to think of a character that is otherwise more basic than Buffy. And this is not saying she's an unfun character or anything. I don't think uniqueness equals fun are some of my favorite characters. I don't think will be on the highest tier, and some characters I don't like might be a bit higher. So nothing against Buffy, it's just she feels very basic, I think, her deck. Now Little Red. Little Red was very unique when she released, but I wasn't playing the game back then, but looking back at the releases, she was certainly very different. And nowadays, I think she is still different. Other characters now have to think about things similar to her, like this game inside the game. She's not the only one anymore. But I think the way she does it, it's still rather different. Like sisters have symbols as well, but they work in a they don't work the same with as Little Red, who has also to always keep track of what's on top of her discard pile and everything. So I think she's distinct. Might be unique. Yeah, I think Little Red might be unique. I don't think that she's as unique as the other two, but in many ways she is. I think Jacko is more unique than Arthur as well. Yeah, I think this is a fine position for her. I've talked myself into it. So Beowulf was the first resource character in the game, but now we have more resource characters. Though the way he gains resources and the rest of the package with the low amount of defenses and the auto damage and the passes, but the potential to do big damage with heirloom and stuff. I think Beowulf still warrants to be different. I think he's more different than Draco. Is he more different than Invisible Man? Those things are hard to judge, but maybe not. Maybe Invisible Man is still a bit more unique than him, but yeah, Beowulf has his differences, especially that because his resources usually gained by taking damage. He has the Vigor and Courage and the Epic Poem. Aside from that, to gain them, but the mini game of taking as little damage as possible to maximizing your resources, I think, makes him feel different, even though there are other resource characters now. Alice, this may be controversial, but I think she's very common now. We have other farm change characters, we have other +1 defense characters, we have other +2 attack characters, we even have +2 attack and +1 defense in another form change character. I guess an argument could be made that the way she changes form is different, because for example, Jacko, it's your choice. You can choose at the start of the turn. Moon Knight, you cycle through them at the end of the turn, and Alice can only change forms through her effects. So that is a bit different, but I think in general Alice was the first of many things that came after, with the form changes and the +2 attacks and everything. But being the first, she ended up being like other characters came from her basic design, and I think that makes her a bit more basic in the end of the day. But it's fine. Deadpool is very unique. He has 30 different cards, and and he heals every time he attacks. It's a very different game plan and way of playing than everyone else. I think maybe even more unique than Jacko. I think he may be the most unique character in the game, to be honest. Even when you standardize he is ruling to avoid things with the jokes of what is yellowish and put on the table. Even when you make the competitive Deadpool that has ways of making those rules more standard and less crazy, I think he's still, due to the third card deck and the ability, I think he's still very different than anyone else. Achilles, part of me wants to put it different because of the whole when my sidekick dies thing, but I don't know if that's enough, because otherwise his gameplay is not that unique. Has its nuances, but outside of the Patroclus minigame, not sure. Then I think Willow has something to do with Sidekick dying. As I said, I never played Willow, but I think I've seen her played once or twice, and I think she has something to do with that. So in good conscience, I can't put Achilles higher than that. But yeah, the Patroclus game plan really makes Achilles' game more interesting. But as a character, I think it's not that unique. I think it's more basic. You can find similar experiences with other characters. So I'll put him here. Which is to my point that it's not being unique. It's not necessarily bad. He's one of my favorite characters, but he's a little basic. Bloody Mary, I think it's distinct. She may be unique because again, playing you trying to keep that low of a hand. Yeah, no, Bloody Mary is unique. Because gaining actions is not something exclusive to her. Even as an ability, but I think the way she does it makes her very unique, and the way she has to play around her hand count all the time, and it's a very interesting thing. I don't know. I think, yeah, no. Now that I think about it, maybe Distinct's a little bit better because there are other characters that have to play with their hand count a lot, but. Still, Mary feels very different than everyone else. Maybe a disservice to leave her outside of the highest tier, but I'm just thinking that other characters have some similar stuff going on, so that's why she's here. But arguably, she's in the highest tier, and arguably even competing with some of these guys. But right now, I feel like she could be here. All right, Wukong. Wukong is distinct as well. Many people hate him, and I think one thing about the more unique characters is that they are very easy to be controversial because they play very differently, and that's not always fun for the person in the other side. And of course, it's a 50-50 if you like to play like that. But still, I think Wukong. Other characters play crazy value games and other characters have crazy mind games, but I think it's just and other characters have a lot of sidekicks, but it's the extreme way in which he does all this stuff. Like, he has the most sidekicks of the game potentially, outside of Skullgirl, and he has the craziest value game, maybe. Arguably, maybe not, but he had a very crazy value game. And he has the most extreme and direct mind games, like it's a 0 or it's a 7. So yeah, I think Wukong is distinct because of that. I wouldn't say quite unique, but because all of his tricks you can see with other characters, but I think he's different enough that he is distinct. Yanenga, I think it's different. Probably on the top of different. Because at the end of the game, she plays a very bread and butter game. Not an easy game. I say bread and butter, but I don't think it's easy. It's very, I think, documented that some people that master Yanenga play her extremely differently from people who don't know that much about her. No, myself included. So I think the difference of Yanenga players proves that it's not an easy thing to do, but it still feels bread and butter. Like, she's playing the value game or she's pushing aggression. She's very versatile, but I don't think it's that different from many characters. The only reason I put in her here is because the sidekick transfer damage, I think it's something very unique to her. It's a mechanic that only she has, and well, in the future I can see it being in other ways put in someone else. Though things like Achilles Heel, Achilles Helm. I don't know, maybe not the top of different, but I think she's still different enough, but very basic in other ways. So next one is Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is another complicated one, I think. In general, it's not that different. he is a resource character. He's the only resource character that has no alternative way of gaining resources. But that's different. But it's just like it's still basic. I think the thing that makes him more different is his grooming style of gameplay, which is also what makes him more controversial. He's very unique in that way. He has a very unique place in the meta. Like, he can kill some characters without engaging. And, I think maybe top of the common ones. Yeah, right beside Achilles, he has something very unique about him, but the rest is very bread and butter and not that exciting. Yanenga can be said the same, but I think Yanenga's special theme is more different, if that makes sense. Luke is different, and some people will disagree because he's just a bruiser. He just goes in and attack with big values and has big defenses, and he has draw and I don't know what else. And yeah, that's true, but he's the only character that can not defend and not take damage from cards that usually would deal damage, if that makes sense. Like, so if you attack him with a regroup and he doesn't defend, he still wins the combat. For example, our Gaze of Stone, for a more extreme example, he can just take that, and I think that's different enough. His general gameplay pattern may not be as different, but I think just this factor, this small factor that he can tank some hits more efficiently, I think this makes him different enough. I don't know if higher than any of these guys, maybe Drake, but still a distinct character. Moon Knight, it's the same thing. Moon Knight, because Alice exists, feels a little bit less different, but I still think the way he works makes him more. Yeah, I think it makes him more unique. Maybe on top of common as well, maybe higher than Ghost Rider, because he. No, I think he's different because the way his forms works, like Konshu not taking auto damage and everything, it leads to some very different things, very different types of games. He's still a very generalist character, but I think what he does makes him unique enough, even if there are other form changing characters and other +2 characters and so on. Yeah, Daredevil. Daredevil is no secret, is top 2 characters in this game for me, and I do think it's very different. Like there's no other character that I play that I feel that I have to change my mindset as much as Daredevil in general. Maybe one other character I play that makes me feel that. So he's very different. I'm thinking if I put him on the top, because even though he is very different, like, you have to think in a very different way, a completely different way when you're playing him. In general, his stuff exists in other characters, like the decision to keep your hand count low or high, the lack of drawing, even the infinite potential. It's all things that exist in other decks. I think he does it in a very different way. But for now, let's leave him at the top of Distinct. Tempted to put him here, but I'll leave him here now, and I think I'll leave Little Red here as well. But yeah, I just remembered, Konshu, Moon Knight has one card that you have to keep track if it's on top of the top of his discard pile. And crazy as it sounds, I think this makes him a little more unique, so I'll push him one further. But yeah, Daredevil, top of Distinct, feels fine. I may put him higher later. Electra is different because, as I said, she has a similar gameplay pattern to Sherlock. She just does it differently, but it comes down to what was said in the beginning of the video. Every character is different in one way or another, and Electra is just a gameplay pattern. Maybe it's because it's boring, and maybe I'm taking out on her. I can put her on the lowest tier because she's the only character that resurrects. I guess Willow can resurrect other characters, but it's very different. Like, Electra has 2 lives, and I think that matters quite a bit for her distinctiveness. But just because her optimal gameplay is so bare bones that I think she doesn't come across as that different of a character. It would be fine. The gameplay itself has problems, but yeah, I think she's different. Maybe if she played a bit differently, it would be higher because the Resurrect really is a unique mechanic, but I don't know. Duza is... Like, no one plays like Duza, but that... Well, I'm repeating myself too much. Every character will be distinct. No other character will play exactly like them, but Duza doesn't have anything too crazy going on. She's from the first box, so it's kind of expected, even though Archer is so high. But yeah, I think this is very basic, even less than Alice. Yeah, even less than Alice. I think this is a fine position for her. Not that different at all. Bullseye though. Bullseye is maybe unique because the way his range works is very different than everyone else. So you can argue that characters like Miss Marvel and T-Rex have a similar type of range, just on a lower scale. But I think being 5 spaces away makes all the difference in the world. And the way he plays with the scheme and having to win combats, it's a lot of things that he does, a lot of gimmicks that he has that makes him very different. So I think even more than Arthur, maybe. Yeah. I think he is fine for Bullseye. He is the more distinct character in his box if we analyze it coldly. Even though for me sometimes feels like Daredevil is more distinct in the way I have to approach him, but I think analyzing it objectively, Bullseye is more. Settler is even more than Bullseye. Settler, I don't play her much. I don't really care for her that much, but there's no denying she plays basically. Her style is one of a kind. She's the only character that plays like Settler is Settler. I struggle even to think of other comparisons to her. Maybe more defensive characters, we can think about some, but only Settler plays like Settler with the insane healing and the insane damage potential sometimes, and the auto damage and having to move every time, and the sidekick that serves to propel the ability. And yeah, Settler. Love her or hate her, she's a very unique character. She's actually my example of a very unique character in this game when people say, because sometimes we hate some characters. And yeah, maybe you hate Settler, but it's good that she's in the game, because people that want to play this style only have her to play with. So I think she's a very important character to be in the game, even if I myself don't care as much for her. And I think most people share this feeling. She's not that popular of a character, but for the people who love her, it's good that she's here. Rex, same thing. Rex is still the only large character in the game, so she can't be too low. Her gameplay is maneuver attack, but you know, I think something that affects my judgment is that I've played so much against T-Rex in tournaments, and even in ladder when she's in, that it became commonplace for me to play against T-Rex. So I know how Rex games goes, and many of her games, of her matchups go the same, but I don't think that makes her less unique. It just makes maybe she's too unique that everything becomes kind of similar around her. But Rex games are not the same as other characters' games, so she is at least distinct. Maybe unique? Yeah, maybe unique. She's the only, above Arthur as well. I think being the only large fighter in the game to this day, like there are rules in this game that only affect her, like the secret passages and not working and ignoring the one-way arrows, everything. So yeah, Rex is a very unique set, a character. I think the set was very unique in many ways. It's not my favorite. I don't care that much about any of those two characters, but good that they are in the game, I guess. Okay, Houdini. There's no way he's common. There's no way he's on the bottom 2 tiers. Has to be in one of those two. I'm just struggling to think of where I want to put him. He's still the only character with blue streaks in the game. I think this tier is getting too crowded. I'll put Little Red House. But yeah, I think this puts him above Arthur. Yeah, I think Houdini, maybe even above Bullseye. Yeah, Houdini has his own way of playing. He's more versatile than Rex, but it's not a tier list of versatility. I think Rex being the only large fighter and the way she molds her games around her is makes her more unique than Houdini. But Houdini arguably also molds games around him. Facing Houdini is not the same as facing most of the roster. And yeah, he is very unique for sure. Yeah, not much to be said. I think what makes him unique is very evident when you play with or against him. He basically ignores positioning, not completely, but he cares a little bit less about it. That's why map is not as important with him. He likes position a lot more and all the blue streaks, so he's playing the game even when he's not attacking you or playing a scheme, he's doing something. So yeah, Houdini is very unique, and his box companion is very unique as well. Genie, it's like Settler. Really, Genie is like Settler. No one plays like Genie. I think a bit less extremely than Settler, because other characters can try to emulate what Genie does with the value games or the tempo games and everything, but the way he does it, no other character does it like that. It's a combination of everything: the ability, the free wishes, of course, and the fact that his deck is mostly not that good. He has no big hits. It's everything together, and the versatility of the wishes. I think, yeah, he's one of my favorite characters in the game. I don't know if he's more unique or less unique than Houdini, but even like this whole section here on the top, I think, so aside from Arthur, which is a bit less unique than the rest, but this whole top row is hard to decide. Maybe Deadpool is first for certain and Arthur is last for certain, but it's hard to decide what is more unique because they are all very distinctive in their own ways. Okay, Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel also plays differently. Like, she has her own way of doing stuff. But she feels very bread and butter inside this way. Like, she interacts with map more than many characters. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And I think that gives her a spot, at least on the second lowest tier, but not much more than that. Once you take account for that, and sometimes it's hard for her games to feel that different. Like, she got a good map, so her game will feel like that, and she will be just like this type of character, or she got a bad map, so she will be this type of character. It's still different. She's my favorite from her box, but I don't think it's nothing that insane, not on the level of the characters in the higher tiers. So I'll leave her here, maybe above Electra, out of spite. But yeah, Cloak and Dagger, same thing or not? Cloak and Dagger, actually, they are the only multi-hero fighter that makes a distinction between the heroes, and I think that's different enough to put them some tiers above. And also the way they work with the action gain and the discard and to keep both alive and being able to sacrifice one to gain health to the other. And yeah, I think Cloak and Dagger, yeah, they play very different, don't they? I don't play them much, but so I had to think a bit here, but in the end of the day, they do play very different. Grow, I didn't play her much. I won't rank her. From the little I think I have never played her ever, but I've seen her played. I think she's probably around here. She's different, but since I never played her, I won't judge. Black Panther. People will hate this, but he's unique. I'll put him here just because this tier is getting too high, as I said. But no other character steals other cards, and no other character uses the others' boost values. Not that I can recall at least, and yeah, he is unique. Love it or hate it. Maybe you think it's very good that he's unique because you don't want to deal with other Black Panthers, which I respect. I personally like him, but I understand the grievances many have. But in the end of the day, this is not a tier list of how well made or how much I like these characters. It's just how different I think them are for the rest of the roster, and I think Black Panther is very different from the whole roster. So I put him here. I won't put him in the higher tiers because his gameplay patterns can't be traced back to other characters, but yeah, Black Panther is pretty different, and so is Black Widow. Another very different, distinct box. Widow, I think I'll put below Daredevil. The whole mission mechanic and how it works, I think, makes for a very different experience. She's a very hard character to pilot as well, so she has some versatility and variety of gameplay, but the mission mechanic, it's nothing that we have ever seen before or since, and that paired with the fact that she starts with one extra card, which is also very different from the way other characters work. So yeah, so I think here's a fine spot. Oh, another thing about Daredevil uniqueness is an Elektra too, for that matter, is that they have lower decks, which is very uncommon. I think only they two have it. So another point, just cementing their spot here. But yeah, Black Widow is very unique as well. Is she more unique than Bloody Mary? I guess she is. She brings new mechanics to the game. I like actual new mechanics, so that have not shown up since. So yeah, let's leave her here. Sinbad. I think before Siri, Sinbad would be higher because he was the only directly built up character in the game. Like other characters, of course, they get stronger because they put more traps on the ground, or they set up this or set up that, or they gain more ingredients for the cauldron and everything. But Sinbad was the only character that's directly the more the games goes on, the stronger he gets. Yeah, if he plays the voyages, but normally he will play them during the game. So Sinbad would be higher before Siri. I think after Siri, because Siri, she does it differently, but it's a similar pattern, so I think it cannot be that high. I'll put him here, indifferent. Maybe above Elektra, just despite Elektra, but maybe above Miss Marvel as well. Maybe above Drac. Above Luke. I think since Siri is here, no longer above Luke. Just that's the thing with these kinds of judgment. Like the longer the game goes on, the less unique some characters will become because more similar characters will come in. But as long as they are similar but still different, I think it's perfectly fine. It's encouraged even. Like if Settler players can have another character that plays somewhat similar to Settler, I think that's a good thing. Winter Soldier, I hate him. He's one of the characters I like the least in this game, and still I think he's distinct. I think the way his game works, where he doesn't really have to worry about fatigue 90% of the time, but he has to worry about his health going down, even though he heals, and even though his initial health is not that bad, and even though he has good defenses. I think no character suffers as much from lack of draw as Winter Soldier does. But I think that's a good thing. I think it makes his gameplay very different than everyone else. Like I said with Daredevil, Winter Soldier thinks just that I play him less, so I am less in the know-how about how he works precisely. But he is very different. I think that's undeniable. I'll leave him at the bottom here. But just as with Elektra, it may be out of spite. I'm trying to be as objective as I can, but maybe my biases are showing. I just feel he's not as distinctive as the other characters above him in the tier, but definitely a very different character. Doctor Strange, also controversial, but also very different. No character plays like Strange. And I know he's very hated, and it's for good reason because he is overtuned, but he has a very unique gameplay. I think that's undeniable. Yeah, most of it comes from his ability and how it works, but it does make him very unique among the roster. I think. Is it enough to surpass? Yeah, I think it's above Wukong even. Maybe even above Bloody Mary. It's above Widow. I'll put it behind Widow. Just to not grind anyone's gears, but Doctor Strange is a very different character from the rest of the game. She-Hulk. She-Hulk used to be my most hated character in the game. Actually, it's only my second most character in the game, probably. But I can't deny that her games are usually not the same as other games. I hate her games. I hate how they are. But she has to think a bit. You have to change your mindset a bit from how you normally play this game when you play with her. Not too much. It's not something incredible, so... but it's enough to keep her from the lowest tier. I think above Miss Marvel, maybe. I don't know. Below Miss Marvel, above Elektra. I think. Yeah, let's go with that. But yeah, She-Hulk plays different. I can't deny it. Maybe I'm even putting her too low. But I hope I'm not. Anyway, Bruce, another character that was, I think, more unique when he released than he is now. Action gaining became a bit more commonplace, and of course Bruce does it differently than everyone else. But I think he's not as unique anymore. I'll put him above Buffy, but below Achilles. I think this is a fine spot for him. He'll be re-released even. But I think the game I think it was inevitable that action gaining would be used more, and the big unique thing about him would be less unique with time. He's still a very fun character, and I still really like him. Glad that he'll be released. But yeah, I'm saying a lot of buts today. But yeah, Bruce is, I think, on the lower tier of uniqueness. So it's Robin. Robin maybe even below Alice, even below Deuce actually. Not below Sherlock. Robin suffers from a problem that is not as commonplace as some of these others when it comes from how different he is, which is most of his cards became common cards. So you see most of his deck on other characters. He still has his different playstyle of kiting, but other characters kite as well. He just does it more efficiently with his ability and everything. But I think Robin, in the end of the day, the time has not been kind to him. I think the kiting still puts him above Deuce and maybe above that. Yeah, maybe above Buffy, maybe even above Bruce. Hard to say. But let's keep him here below Bruce to be safe. Bigfoot, I think I'll put him here. Yes, Bigfoot has nuances. He's not as simple as he seems at first glance and everything, but yeah, it's still not the most unique character in the game. His cards and his patterns are somewhat basic, with nuances, but every character has nuances. So I think it's not that controversial to put Bigfoot here. Maybe even the Sherlock placement is more controversial. I think Sherlock's a bit more unique than Bigfoot. I don't want to say Bigfoot is the most basic character in the game, because that's something very hard to judge, you know. I'll put him here. Okay. InGen. InGen has some of his gameplay patterns mimicked in other characters, but I still think the way he does it sets him aside. I'll put him here, even above Invisible Man. I think the whole trap thing, where to trap, and how to position the workers, and when to go in, when to take a risk. I think the way he works, especially because of the traps, it's mostly because of the traps, but the way he works, I think it's very different than anyone else. It's very complex as well. I think he's one of the characters that take the longest to make a turn in higher settings. People have to think more than usual when doing his turns, and I think no other character mimics that. Just because other parts of his kits became more commonplace, and I think this doesn't make him unique enough to be a tier higher. But I think he's on top of this tier. I don't think he'll ever leave the top of this tier. Raptors, with other multi-heroes came into the game, I think Raptors became a little bit less unique. But at the same time, they are still the only ones that want to round the opponent and stuff. So I think this is fine. Top of the lower tier. Arguably, they could be here a tier higher, but I think they're not as unique as they once were. But they're still distinct characters. Spider-Man is a bit of a conundrum, because on one hand, his ability makes no games with him are by nature different than most games, because you have to say what is the value of your card, and therefore nothing much you can do about it. It will be different than other games because of that. On the other hand, his deck is very basic. One of the most basic decks in the game. I think just like Buffy, I can't put him in good conscience. I can't put him higher than that. So I'll put him lower, because his deck is very basic, and so his gameplay patterns are usually a bit more basic. Maybe it's just that I'm not as experienced with Spider-Man. I've played him, but not as much. But that's how I feel about him, at least. Annie seems more distinct than she is. She still is different. She's definitely not on the lower tier. But I think she's not on the higher ones either. I think maybe one above Yanenga. It's fine. Maybe below. Yeah, because her ability is something that we have not seen yet, or not seen yet apart from her, but at the same time, like, yeah, she has +2. Like, it just equalizes her health with the opponent, which I guess is a unique pattern to her. And she does have her little tricks and gimmicks, but I still think it's not enough to propel her higher. I think here is fine for her. Golden Bat. Golden Bat's my favorite character in the game, or one of my top 2. I can't decide between him and Daredevil, but is he unique? Not a lot. I think higher than Spider-Man. He does have his niches, and it's tempting to put him higher, but just because I play him a lot, and so I know his nuances better than I know other characters' nuances. But if I'm trying to be objective, he doesn't go below the lowest tier in this sense. He's very fun. I love him. I think he does everything he does great, but in terms of difference between him and the rest of the cast, maybe it's not that different. Jill's a bit more. She's because she has the whole thing with the gadgets and the whole Daisy situation going on, and no cancel for Daisy, but other characters have similar weaknesses. I'll put her here. This may be a mistake. She may, and it may be a mistake for both ways. She may be higher or maybe lower, but I'll put her here to be safe. Because she does play differently, but in the end of the day, I think she's a value fighter, and of course with options to break out of this playstyle, but I think she doesn't do nothing too crazy out of being a value fighter, enough maybe to not be on the most basic levels of the roster, but not enough to be higher, if that makes sense. Tesla is probably Tesla is very hard to judge. I think since there are other characters that are super versatile, he becomes less unique. Even though he may be the most versatile character in the game. Probably that's an exaggeration, but he's up there. I've seen Tesla being played in a variety of very different ways. But since there are other characters that can also be played in a variety of different ways, and he's not the only resource character, and the way he gains resources is different, of course. No other character gains resources like him, but and it does make his gameplay different, but it's hard to judge for me. Put him here besides Ghost Rider. I think they share a lot. He's arguably higher. He's arguably a tier higher, but I don't feel comfortable putting him much higher than this. Even though he's great, he's probably the most fun resource character in the game. Even though I still love Beowulf, I think. Well, anyway, Tomoe is very different. Games against Tomoe completely different. No, not completely, but they are pretty different than games against other characters. I can't put her lower than that. She has the whole being good against hero thing going on, like effects that affect the hero specifically. And other characters have effects that affect the hero specifically, but Tomoe takes it to another level. And with her ability as well, and her general stuff, the 7 that she has to be adjacent and play face up. I think Tomoe is distinct. I think she's worthy of this tier. Arguably not. Many things here are arguably. The whole list is arguable. I may disagree with it tomorrow or after I rewatch this video, but right now I feel like Tomoe is at least here. Higher than Winter Soldier? Maybe. No, I don't know. But I'll put her here. Okay, Oda I think is more different in 2v2, which I don't play. I don't play as much. I rarely play 2v2. Rarely play it. Very rarely, even when I was playing more of the game. So, Oda in 1v1 is like mini Raptors in a way. Not exactly, it's not the exact same, but just because I recognize that in 2v2 he probably changes fingers a lot, I will put him here, but I'm not sure. This is the one I'm most unsure, probably. Shakespeare has a gameplay pattern that's somewhat similar to Little Red, but it's different enough that I think I can put him here. I think I can put him here. I think he's different enough than Little Red. I just remember it, and the fact that I remember that he's somewhat similar to her makes me put Daredevil higher. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I think put Shakespeare here is a safe bet. Higher than Tomoe. Higher than Winter Soldier as well. Higher than Wukong. Yeah, screw it. I think I'm comfortable putting him here. Hamlet's in the highest tier. I think there's no doubt about it. The whole Slings and Arrows set was something very daring for the game. I think the way they all work is very different than they expected. And Hamlet, yes, he's a +2 character, but he's infinitely different than, well, infinitely is an exaggeration. He's much different than other +2 characters. In deck composition, and the fact that he has somewhat of a forced ability that more often than not is to his detriment, but sometimes to his great benefit. His ability makes everything there to be or not to be. I think he's very different. I dare say, maybe it's just because I like him so much, but I like Genie so much as well. I dare say he's like Settler in a way. I think Hyde can go a couple tiers down. But I think he's like Settler in a way. No one plays like him, and he's not as good as Settler, and Settler is not even one of the best characters to begin with. He's very bad, but he's very unique. Okay, almost over. I've been rambling for don't know how long now. Titania. Titania is... She is different. Titania is distinct. She's also a very versatile character. I think the way her glamour works, which I think was 5 or 6. Man, has been a minute since I played this game. But she has like 5 or 6 different abilities. I won't count them now. I've been here for too long, and this video is far too long already, probably. So, yeah, the many abilities, everything, I think she's very different. More than Shakespeare even. No, more than Shakespeare even, or more than Strange? Yeah, more than Strange. More than Weed? Oh yeah, more than Weed. More than Red, yeah, more than Red. More than Daredevil. Yeah, I think so. More than Panther? I'll put her more than Panther just to please the Panther haters. But yeah, I think Titania is very different from the rest of the roster. I think no one quite plays like her, and same can be said for Sisters. I think Sisters below Panther. Make the piece. Because I really can't decide. There are some characters like I'm trying to order the tiers, but the order is probably not very good, and I'm having trouble deciding many of those. So I think the tiers are more relevant than the orders, and even the tiers. I'm not sure about some things, but anyway, yeah, Sisters are distinct, I think. Gerald. Gerald can come here. His deck is kind of basic, but his ability of building your own deck, I think it makes up for it big time. And yes, it's a bit similar to Buffy, but it's also different enough from Buffy. Like, I put Buffy... yeah, I'll put him here. Because it's not fair that Buffy lost points on him because of him, but he doesn't because of her. But yeah, his deck's not as basic as Buffy as well. That's why he's higher. And his deck building, I think it's different enough from hers that still something more unique. But yeah, Gerald. Eredin. Eredin is... Eredin is not that unique. He could be. I think his design is. I just think the way he is usually played, or should usually be played, leads for him not being that much. I think his design still puts him above Bruce at least, but yeah. I can't really express myself very well in regards to this, but I feel like he should be more unique than he is. And unfortunately, he's not, which is sad, because I do like everything. Or I wanted to like everything. Siri. Siri is like Sinbad. I think the way she works, because she was released much later, makes her more unique than Sinbad. The fact that Sinbad exists doesn't let me put her too high, but I think higher than Yin, maybe higher than Invisible Man. I think here, besides Indian, is fine. I think she's a fan favorite for many reasons, and I think her gameplay been familiar enough to not make her a super controversial character, but different enough that she still feels refreshing. Is one of the reasons she's been so well liked, or she was well liked last time I was interacting actively with the community, so I think she still is, probably. Hope. Lashen's from the Witcher characters. There's one competition, but I think Lashen is probably the most unique one. Move one character. Yes, he can play like Sherlock and Electra, and I deduct points from Sherlock and Electra from playing like that. But I think it's not the exact same with Leshen, especially because of the wolves. And how this scheme, how his schemes works. So yeah, Leshen is very unique. Above Doctor Strange, below Widow, because he doesn't have any. Above Widow, below Little Red. I think here is fine. He's arguably one tier above. He's arguably here, but I think I'll put him here on the upper middle of the distinct tier. But he's arguably higher, very arguably. It's just how his gameplay pattern can end up being, which makes me put him here, but very arguable. Very arguable. Hard to decide on him. Yeah, the trees have something that no one else in the game has, so they have to be distinct. This is my most hated character in the game. No, they don't knock points from Arthur because their boosting doesn't require the risks that his does. So I still think Arthur gameplay is very different because of that. The only reason I put them so high is because, as for now, we don't have any other character that can choose who is the hero and who is the sidekick. We have sidekick choosing with Buffy, but it's not the same thing. And therefore, I think they are unique because of that. Won't put them higher than this though. Maybe they should be, maybe they should not be. Maybe it's my bias against them speaking, but no, I'll leave them here. I think lower than this tier. The disservice because of their unique mechanic. In the future, when there are other characters that do the same, maybe they would be bumped down. But for now, unarguable. And Philippa is, I'll put her besides Leshen. She's the other Witcher character, which I think is arguably the most unique of the set. I think you can argue between her and Leshen. I think Leshen being move 1 and everything makes him more different and stand out more. But Philippa is... she's the most similar character there is to Jeannie, but I think she and Jeannie are different enough that doesn't knock them much down. And it's hard to find another character that plays like Philippa. It really is. I think she has a very... well, I mean redundant. She's unique. That's the whole point of the list, and she's towards the top. So here's the tier list. This was just a video of me rambling for I don't know how many minutes. I hope it's less than an hour, but oh, I guess I'll find that out when I start editing it. But yeah, me rambling for roughly an hour about how unique each Unmatched character is, even though they are all unique, and even though they are also similar in other ways. So maybe a pointless exercise, but I don't know. Wanted to see if it makes me more enthusiastic about coming back to play the game. It's still a fantastic game, as it always was. Just yeah. So here it is. I hope this was of some entertainment. Probably wasn't, but alright, that's it.